Jessie, thank you so much for being with me. I missed you.
I missed you too, honey, but you just disappeared on me. You didn't even tell Wakoma where you were going.
I'm sorry, Wakoma.
Yeah, I'm trying to butt that.
It's okay. I just by my foot.
Good girl. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, doing amazing.
Lovely to see you.
Really looking forward to today's topic because we're talking about rejection.
Yeah.
But before we talk about rejection, as I was reading your credentials, Love City Church, led by Pastor Kuda and Grace Kapswara, the past weekend had like a conference called the God Class,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
So while I'm not so sure what day it was, and I was watching online.
Oh, okay.
Then she mentions you in the audience, right? It's like, no, my sister Jessie is here. You know, she keeps my mind together.
Absolutely.
And I was like, this is a woman of God. Okay, this is a woman of God that people look up to and they think, no, this woman has everything together, like she's always on point. And then right there on the stage, she opens up and she says, no, listen, I don't have it all together. I look like I have it together because of people like Jessie who keep my mind together. How is it working with men and women of God who come to you and say, listen, my mind is not all right?
That's something that is very prevalent in a lot of the men and women of God. The first thing is they are also human like you and I. They also go through everything that we're going through. But over and above that, they have to carry the burdens of everyone else. So they kind of have a double burden to carry. So when then they come through, we then just go through specifically their lifestyles, their daily schedules, and we see what it is that is burdening them the most, and then we deal with each particular issue specifically because they may be burdened by different things. Some it's family, some it's ministry, some it's personal life. So we then have to go deeper into their issues, and then we deal with the mind techniques that can be used to overcome whatever challenge it is that they are facing.
Now, Pastor Grace is your friend. How do you draw the line? But here I'm dealing with women of God. Here I'm dealing with Pastor Grace.
It's certainly a serious challenge. But when we get down to business, then we forget about the friendship. And we do business and we do work.
Yeah, I love that woman.
She's so lovable.
We could talk about Pastor Grace the whole session. But okay, so let's focus. Okay, let's focus.
Okay.
We are talking about rejection. And all people experience forms of rejection throughout their lives, whether they are turned down from a job that they wanted, turned down from a date, my heart, or experience a friend or a romantic partner ending their relationship. Sometimes rejection is harsh, and
and then you start thinking, I thought this person said they love me. I mean, what happened to that love? All of a sudden you look like an enemy. It's like you are there to terrorize them or whatever it is. And I don't know, in some cases they become very
I don't know why we have to be ruthless though. Just like say bye and move on. I relate a lot with the rejection from jobs, right, because in my field it's very competitive, and you have to prove yourself, and kudara I used to catch feelings until I realized, like, no, if you get the job, you get the job. If you didn't get it, you didn't get it. So now I have to improve myself in certain areas. But I never used to take it well. I would cry. What's wrong with me? Is that like a normal reaction?
It is.
Like
actually,
after rejection, you start looking at yourself. It's me. I'm the problem.
Okay. It's a natural reaction. I think almost everybody does that, because sometimes when you find it difficult to blame the other person, especially if the other person then denies to take responsibility, because the mind or the brain usually works with answers. There has to be a question. If you have a question in life, the brain wants you to come up with an answer so that you make sense of life. So if then the other person, the offender or the heartbreaker, has refused to take responsibility, and then the next thing is, okay, so it's me. It's just a natural reaction, but then it's a very terrible reaction.
So we only take this position if the offender has refused
usually to accept responsibility or to apologize. If you do, you see, when they then say to you, you know, Becky, it's not you.
Then you know they're lying.
It's me. Then but very nani, okay, and someone who really like comes on you very hard and makes you feel worse than you're already feeling, which is really cruel. So anyway, the thing, Becky, is we literally don't have control over what another person does.
Okay.
The only control that we have is us and our reaction to what has happened. So first of all, I just want to quickly then define what rejection is. Rejection is when our need for acceptance or our need for belonging is unfulfilled or is unmet. Ooh. In other words, we could just say, can I take that again? Rejection is when our need for acceptance and belonging is unmet or unfulfilled. In other words, rejection is when the person you need, not just love, the person you need or a situation that you need does not need you back. That's when rejection ensues.
Is it the same as when you seek validation and then you don't get the validation?
Yeah, it's more or less the same. Because when you're seeking validation, you want people to accept you and you want people to say, I know this person is good at this and that. Because we all want to feel like we're adding value to life and that we're adding meaning to life.
Yeah.
And then when someone, I do something very good and someone denies to acknowledge it, it hurts. It hurts. So you'd often then find people asking, but why should rejection hurt? Yeah. Why should rejection hurt? Now, most of our human experiences, Becky, have their basis or their foundations in evolution. Okay, so back in the days, Becky, humans used to live in groups, and you know, and they stayed like that, and there wasn't much interaction between the groups. So this is what would happen if, let's say, you do something that is unacceptable, you break a rule or you break the law. Part of the punishment was that they would excommunicate you from the group. Yes, they'll excommunicate you as part of punishment. So it's like they'll throw you outside of the bureau, the safety bureau, the protection bureau.
Get out of here.
Yeah. So when that happens, they get out of here. So when that happens is and we actually see this kind of setup, Becky, in the Bible. When we look in the Bible, we know who Israelites and then they used to be at loggerheads with the Edomites, Ishmaelites, Moabites, Babylonians, Ammonites, and all the knights that were there. So these people used to stay in their own specific groups. They had their own rules. They had their own relationships.
Right.
So now when you break the rule and they throw you out of the clan or the group, three things will happen to you, Becky. The first thing is when you're thrown out and you are out in the jungle there, the first thing is you could be eaten by ferocious animals and you die. Yeah. And the second thing is members of other tribes who are out hunting, they will meet with you. Definitely, because there was someone, the enemy, they're up to no good. So if you then were met with members of the other group or the tribe, they could actually kill you because you're an enemy. You see someone who does not belong with you, kill them. And then the third thing that would happen is some of them would actually capture you, okay, and take you to their own group where you become a slave. So this is what used to happen. This is what rejection, where rejection has its foundations. But if someone rejects you, you're going to be thrown out where you're vulnerable to all sorts of things. So now, centuries later, we evolved. We are now living in a global world where whether you're in UK or you're here in Zimbabwe, I can go whatever. I go wherever I wanted. I can still live and make a living because friends and relatives are all over anyway.
Right.
But what happened is we evolved, but that instinct
did not.
We remained with it. That's why it hurts so much when someone rejects you. So it's hectic. It's hectic. So now when we talk about how to recover from it, it's a matter of then dealing with the mind, because rejection happens in the mind first before it becomes emotional or physical. So your first reaction is samba yangu yokuyenda kulive. Yeah, yarambwa. It's a thought, right? And then you're like, okay, yarambwa, because number one, they hate me. Number 2, I'm being discriminated here. Number 3, I don't know what's wrong with me. That's a thought. And as we discussed in another session, all the emotions that we feel are a chemical reaction that happens after a thought has been accepted by us. So we then feel the emotions
that we create.
Yeah, the thoughts that enter our brain
at the moment of rejection.
At the moment of rejection,
right? Your
reaction to your rejection. That's why, like, let's say the 2 of us here, we work together, and then we are told maybe I don't know which show is coming next. Right. Both of us, we then process that rejection. Anyway, good riddance. All things work for you, and then you're like, no, what is wrong with me? Every time that I have an opportunity to go out there and also enjoy, you know, they are rejecting me. What has happened is it is your thought or your thinking that causes you to feel rejected or to not care about it.
And comparison then comes also into play. Because when you're saying, when you ask yourself what's wrong with me, the next question that normally comes after that is what's wrong with me compared
to, you know, the other person who has been picked on. And then my teacher used to leave me out when she picked on guys to come and do maths on the board. You know, the mind can go there, and it gathers all these things that happened in the past, and you feel like, you know what, I am just unworthy. That's it. So now, what we are saying, now, if you want to deal with rejection appropriately, understand that rejection starts in the mind. So when you catch it in the mind before it creates a chemical reaction, which we then feel as an emotion, we would have won our battle against rejection. So the first thing that we need to do, Becky, when we have been rejected, either never, especially with another human being in terms of romantic relationships, when you've been rejected, the first thing that you need to do, which you must do, is to allow yourself to grieve. When you are feeling the pain, when you're feeling the anger, Chema, express your anger, allow yourself to grieve. Remember, we spoke about it to say, my emotions are energy in motion. Even then you feel an emotion, you and you decide and you shut those emotions in. It means that energy is not flowing. So the next thing that energy does is it explodes on you, and then you begin to experience a lot of serious both mental, physical, and emotional problems as well. So allow yourself to grieve. That's the first thing. The second thing, after I grieve, I'm not grieve or end up grieve I'm not grieve for a few hours. No was there.
Yeah, and some for days.
Aram Maxine. Walk to Mona for we have to Javera. As we are that takes you to Aram. Some people can grieve for a few hours. Another person will take years to grieve again. Another month. So it's up to you to know how long does it take for you to really feel good in that griever, that allow the negative energy hurt to flow through my body. Okay, and then allow yourself to heal. It's important, number 1, to accept it has happened. Because it's denial. How could I can't? Why? The first important thing is to just accept. Look, that's it. And that's what I'm going to that when you say that when you promotion this person to move on, very, very critical to accept that this has happened. And the second thing that we also then need to do is to forgive. I know forgiveness is a very touchy subject.
Very touchy.
It's talked about a lot, and still people struggle with it. But whether it's difficult or not, forgiveness has to happen, because forgiveness is never about letting the other person go scot-free. This is where we get it all. We don't forgive and they are just getting away with whatever they did. It's never, forgiveness is never about the other person. Okay, it's about freeing yourself from that negative energy that is created when you feel rejected and you're bitter and you're hurtful. There's a lot of energy, dark energy, that's actually circulating within you. When you forgive, you're literally just opening up your heart and letting that energy go. So in other words, we're saying you're forgiving for you. Because holding on grudges, holding on to a grudge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Or it's like someone does something very terrible to me, they get arrested, 2 years in jail, in India just serve that jail sentence. on behalf of someone who has offended me. That's exactly holding on to grudges and bitterness is like. Because in the old culture, say, don't want a punishment. They are working scotch.
Someone put it across as anzi unengo wakabereka.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, carrying them
everywhere. And they stop you from being free and being able to do something. So forgiveness, I will keep on hitting with forgiveness is not about the other person. Forgiveness is about you. Because it's you that's setting yourself free from this kind of thing. Because it's the container, Becky, that carries acid that gets eroded. It's like that energy, bitterness, it's you that gets eroded. That person is walking scot-free. So forgive for you. It's unfortunate we're not talking about forgiveness here. I was going to be so happily able to talk about my own personal experiences, what I went through, and how what forgiveness did to me, and what I did to forgive. So the other thing that people just need to know as we pass on this point about forgiveness is forgiveness is not about feeling. Forgiveness is a decision. You decide, I forgive Becky. The emotions will align later on, I don't know, weeks, months later.
Make the decision first.
Make the decision. I'm forgiving this person because I want to move on. My emotions are going to and the third thing that needs to happen, allow yourself to heal. Allow yourself to heal and accept that it has happened, forgive. And then the last thing that we need to do by healing is self-care. Self-care is the #1 remedy for all of the problems that we face that are psychological in nature. So treat yourself with kindness. I'm a terrible person. You know, and you start saying all those nasty things to yourself. Listen, the world is so unkind already, and this person who has done that to you is very unkind to you. The best you can do for your poor soul is to be kind to you yourself. So be kind with you and be patient with you. Let's say, for example, I decided, okay, fine, I decide to forgive this person. 3 days down the line, be patient with you. Yes, I've forgiven, but in China, it's okay. Be patient. Give it time. She just will pair with time. Absolutely. So be patient with you. Then the basic, I'm saying the basic 4 self-care activities is sleep.
That's my favorite.
Go and sleep 7 to 8 hours a night. Go and sleep because sleep heals in many ways. And also diet. Remember, we're always saying my body cells are not fire every day, and new cells are built every day. You need your body to produce healthy cells, and healthy cells comes from healthy diet. Ice cream, pizza, because you are trying to comfort yourself.
Don't attack.
I know. No violence here.
No violence here, please.
Then hydrate yourself in one. It's not already you know, 2 liters per day, or at least 1, but hydrate yourself. And also exercise. We don't say could you end up with for 2 hours. You can do light exercises like just walking for 30 minutes a day, or you can, you know, just do a little jumping, you know, jumping ropes.
Just move.
Just move. And while you are moving, remember when you are going through rejection, your body is in survival mode, and there's a lot of cortisol that is being released in your body because of what you're going through. So when you exercise, you're actually offloading the cortisol, because cortisol, one of the ways in which it gets out of your body is when you exercise, you kind of sweat it out. It actually escapes from your body. So that's what we need to do. Now the last part that I want to kind of really hammer on in terms of rejection is Takadayo. Let's say right now we are all okay and not rejection at through. It's important that we build resilience against rejection. Is that here we
are we expecting it?
It will come. It's
are we expecting
it is going to come?
Is it like planning for disappointment? Like, let me prepare.
No, disappointment. It's reality. It will come as much as your hair is going to grow. And as long as you know what your hair will grow, it will come. It's part of life. Yeah. So when it comes, and it requires training. Remember that rejection happens in the mind first. So it's all about then training the mind to handle. So what are we practicing answers here? Yes.
I'm a good girl. I'm on the right track.
So last week, Becky, we spoke about addiction to stress. Yeah, you missed out on that one. So it was so cool. So we're talking about addiction to stress, and we say it's very critical that make sure for most of your time during the day you are in homeostasis, which is the opposite of survival mode. Okay. Yeah. So we're saying your mind requires training homeostasis, because naturally our natural reaction when something terrible happens is that we get into fight or flight mode. So it's really then up to you to say, when something happens, I need to take action so that I get myself back into the rest and digest, or the fight or flight, or the homeostasis. Now, one way of doing this, Becky, is to regard yourself as a movie or as a soapy series, whatever it is.
Wow.
Now, in a movie or in a soapy, there is usually a main actor, and the main actor is you.
I'm the main actor.
You're the main actor. What then it means is other cast members, Becky, will always come into the movie or into the soapy and leave. But usually the main actor, I'm not just saying, Ano Sarah. And this is according to the producer or the director of the movie. That's the director saying, so you need to understand that your life is like a movie, and the director here is God. God and a plot just as much as the director has a plot for a movie. So God is the one that's directing your life. So God is going to bring people into your life and take them out. He brings people into your life and he takes them out. Kana scene yako yapera muna kutobuda. Wambonaire muna notary movie maybe oita a scene where they fall in love, and then after a while this person maybe dies or is taken away by someone else. You don't do that. Because the director is the one who's saying, no, yes, you get to get into mourning. So take yourself as a movie and see people that come in and out of life. Say, well, no, same cast members. And we are according to how God wants to pan out your life. Okay. Jeremiah 29:11 tells us, Becky, for I know the plans that I have for you. The plans are to prosper you and not to harm you. And these people are coming for a specific reason or a specific purpose, for a specific season, and they must go out. So allow God to work out your life. Don't hold on to people who are no longer part of the cast or part of the series. Don't go. Proverbs 19:21 says, many are the plans of a man in a person's heart, but it is the God's purpose that prevails. As I go through life, there are going to be people that can come into my life that would love me and that I'll love back, but they shall go. Because director Atichi, this is time for them to go, because I want to bring in another character that is going to take you to the next level of your growth, of the plan that God has for you. Okay, so God will bring people for a season, like for a year, and for a few days, and they leave, and you wonder what's wrong with this person. Do you know, Becky, sometimes even the devil can bring people to your life. The devil can bring evil people to your life. Plans to derail you from your walk.
And he's very patient.
And it's very patient. But even if it's the devil that has brought someone to your life, God will use that evil person to achieve part of his plan for your life. Genesis 50 says, remember Joseph when he was talking to his brothers, and you intend to harm me. Remember the story, baby?
Yes.
But yes. God intended it for good. So even if an evil person is brought by the devil to you, God will make sure it becomes good for you.
It works in your favor.
In other words, we were saying to keep that in your mind when you're going through rejection. God has a plan for my life. These people, these jobs, these opportunities, they are coming, and they will only be allowed if they are part of God's plan for my life. If and then you have a challenge trusting God with his plan for your life, that's when you begin to have problems. But if you just relax and say, God knows, as long as you've done your part, you've prayed, you've believed, you've declared the word, and then something goes against what you're praying for, what you're declaring.
But Coach, with things like rejection,
yes,
do we know when to fight for something and when to let go of it?
We don't necessarily know, but my suggestion is do your part to fight for that person or for that job, whatever. And still this thing is not happening. It's time for you to know that I think this is
leave
it to God. Let go and let God. We don't say anything it's just chimboita sei imbomira umborwisa wandi namata aita sokana ana kuri kuti waramba umbogeza umbowedzerawo maperfume chichi if this person
zvisina
kushanda chiziya kuti this is no longer part of the storyline of my life, I better let them go. Okay, so some people come into your life for a week, for a day, or even for I'll give a personal example. Usually after I because I do a lot of presentations, you know, conferences, stuff like that, and someone will come over to me and say, oh, just that was so powerful, oh my goodness, and they say all sorts of things, and I feel like, oh yeah, that's it. And I got a maybe CEO of a company or something, and they say to me, can you give me your card? I'm going to call you next week Wednesday. There is a huge project that I want to do with you. I'm going to call you, Jessie. So and please, I thank you. They go. That is the last you hear from them. And then Becky, what do you do? Hello, say, how are you?
I don't know what to me.
Then they blue tick you. And then never say anything to you.
Office go.
Now, change what pane plan actually, pane who mental mind trick actually.
Okay.
That person, I'm gonna marry for those few minutes for a purpose. What is the purpose?
Just to hype you.
Yes, just to hype me. Just to make me feel confident
of
what I'm doing. I'm on the right track.
Doing good.
That's what CEO, I feel that is the purpose. And also in the
so don't expect much.
Don't expect much. And then it's part of the plan. But if they don't come back, because we break, our hearts break a lot because I can promise her, they went, they never came back. And all those things. It's important for you to then understand people will come and go. And the for a few seconds and they are gone, never come back again. Tell yourself they have already done their part. That will hype you and I feel confident.
Don't expect
next
much
time.
From them.
Yes,
it's
don't
okay.
expect much
if
from
they come
them.
Through,
if they come through. And it's very important for us to understand, particularly as my believers, our dependency is not on human beings. Whatever we need does not come from human beings per se.
Right.
If he can bring it through that CEO, I know not no my cleaner garden boy.
Right.
So we need to learn to trust God with what we need. So that if this person, even if Maranga next level and they don't do it, God will raise another person or another means. So we need to learn to just put our faith and trust in God, not in man. Because the moon began going because
give them no sleep.
Give them no sleep until they come back. Fair and fine, but one more night it's and they face the other way. Exactly. So what we are saying, Becky, is when something happens like that happens, someone comes into your life, you think you're happy, or even if it's a relationship, you think, that's one I'm gonna say, that's one I'm gonna say. Mongo data for a few days or a few weeks. Remember that allow yourself to grieve. Then after grieving, and then also talk about for a few days. Natural in my life. What value did I derive from this person for the few days or the few weeks that they were with me? When we do that, you realize that we will quickly heal from rejection, and we are able to grow and keep moving forward.
So I'm picking a pattern here. We sometimes inflict this pain on ourselves by holding on to moments.
Yes, we're holding on to moments.
Yes.
We should hold on to moments as in benefiting from them, as in having so much fun with them. And then you smile.
Let it go.
Not don't go that direction. Okay. If you want to benefit from that experience, benefit in terms of it uplifting you, because it's a time that you had and it was good then, and that's it. You see? Now, in other words, we're saying we need to get into a habit of letting people go, so that we create space for the next person who should accomplish another part of God's plan for our lives. If we hang on to someone, because God wants to bring different people to our lives, to take us to the next step, You hang on, you're only blocking yourself from getting the next person. I'll give another analog of, let's say we are building a house like this. kana tichivakaimba Becky, you find kuti pane vamwe vanhu vanospecialize mufoundation chete, you get it, anongodhiga foundation kana asvika mameters orova pasi koya weslab, orova pasi koya wemachi wemadziro. Zvino ndimi Becky K, muri kuvakaimba yenyu, you think you like that guy akaita foundation, nototi manje hausikwenda ramba uchidhiga
chita slab
haatozvigoni iye akungodhigadzira
mawindo.
So as long as this guy wefoundation akasaenda, weslab haauye, weslab akasapedza, wemadziro haauye, wemadziro akasapedza, there is no roof to that house. So learn to know that people are going to come at every stage of our lives and exit when their time is up. We need to learn to open our hearts and let go so that we create space for the next person to come and take us to the next level.
What is mine is mine.
So Becky, when we're talking about space, we're not talking about the physical space,
right?
Because we're talking about the space in the terms of energy. So Becky, let's say you were hurt and you were disappointed and then you did not go through the process of healing and letting go.
Right.
You go around life carrying thick dark energy around you. Even uchipeka, uchifara, uchita makeup yako, uchita, yeah, I'm happy, but that energy does not go away. And guess what that energy does? It naturally just repels people from you.
It does.
Even when you the right people to come into the and then you wonder, why is it in the relationships? There's nothing wrong with you physically. There's something wrong with you energy, the aura that you are carrying, the aura of bitterness and hurt. That one will repel. So it's very, very critical for us to teach ourselves to grieve our loss, to learn from whatever we should learn from the person behind, and then we allow God to bring the new people who are going to take us to the next level. Don't say even your own child child. We are just caretakers. So maybe vachitya kuti mwana wangu ndakatambura naye mukadzi wangoyotora mwana wangu wakatomberekera mukadzi yeye. It is what it is. Let it go, let it go. It is what it is. So we love them, but we don't own them per se. We've got to allow them to be, because God has called them. It is separate from you, and you just take a story and bring them up to give them whatever they need to be given so that their life carries on. So tikangodzidza how to deal with rejection that way, at tinokurumidza kupora, and we tichakurumidza kukura, because we've created that space inside of us and around us that allows new things, new people to come and to take us to the next level.
So there's that rejection that comes in an amicable way. Normally in like corporate levels, it will hardly like blow out. It will just either be yes, no, or not yet. Give us time and all. And then you come to some rejections where you're like, were those words necessary? And then you end up getting into this, you know, exchange of words. Matukana, matukana, matukana. And now you have, you know, opened this whirlwind of emotions because you were like, like, why would they speak to me like that? Is there a way of stopping yourself before you engage in the exchange
of what?
Yes, you've been rejected, and you are just taking into consideration that I've never heard Jessie speak.
Right.
So I don't know what to do. In this state of rejection. But munandi boy.
So there's this mental health care tip inotaura kuti zvoni hanzi don't stop yourself from expressing how you feel, because if you suppress yourself from expressing how you're feeling, it actually ends up creating a lot of negative energy inside of you, which then hurts you in the end. Saka, there's a different way of expressing how you are feeling, in the way of just letting it out. And then there's a way of expressing yourself or your displeasure by fighting back. There's a difference there. No one wants to express out. But guys, I thought things were like this. Can you explain to me, how did this go? And you want to get my reasons, you want to get my explanations. So you kind of just register your displeasure. It's very important to register your displeasure. but don't fight back. I'll give an example. Let's say in example, maybe I was supposed to be sent to a trip in Victoria Falls, and then they decided to take my junior, who is not even qualified to do the things that I can do. And then it's important for me, and I feel hate about it, to go to my boss and just say, no, I came here to just understand. I believed I was the one who was qualified and more ready to go. I just wanted to understand, is there anything that I may have done wrong? You get it? You're making it about you. I feel disappointed that this didn't happen. I feel hurt when people don't do this to me. You express your displeasure, which tap focus on you. Now fighting back, you're always doing this, you always do this to me. When you do that, the person becomes very defensive, and then you've lost that battle completely. So it's important to express. Don't hold on to your emotions and feelings and thoughts. Express them, but in a nice way. You know, to this person attack back. They'll probably give you a response which is going to help you. But even if they don't give a satisfactory response, at least I have offloaded what I was feeling inside, and I'm going home without carrying that negative energy and my ear. So there's a lot of self-talk that has to happen from time to time when you're dealing with issues. You know, Becky, no, wait, Becky, don't say this. Okay, Becky, listen. Okay, fine, it may be, but you know what? And then we are going to choose to believe this way. You need to talk to yourself. You need to negotiate with yourself a lot. Don't just follow what your mind is saying, because mind is doing what wired for fight and flight. Mind is doing what wired. Something happens that we don't like, we have to fight, we have to do all sorts of negative things. But when you are aware, that's how your mind works. You'll always be conscious of your thoughts, and you always catch them before they translate into an emotion. Because emotion, but when you deal with it, each thought, it does not go into an emotion, and then you are able to walk away free. And sometimes, Becky, I often tell myself, you know, the Bible says in Luke 10:19, behold, I've given you power to trample over snakes and scorpions and to overcome all of the power of the enemy. Sometimes I go through situations and I lesson purpose and then what and you know what, I just said to myself, these are just snakes and scorpions. I just need to step over them, and I just step over them and walk away. They have no purpose, they have no reason, but for me to just step over them and overcome, and I go.
Thank you for
that. And when I've done that, every time I do that, I pick strength and I go on. I'm not gonna purpose, but it's a snake and a scorpion. I'll trample over it and walk away.
Sure. Coach Jessie, thank you so much. We were talking about you know, dealing with rejection, and she took us through all the steps, the reasons why it happens, how you should prepare yourself for it. You know, I used to think I was a little bit mad, because I used to do that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I still do it. I like practice responses.
Yeah, it's important.
If they reject me, I'm going to say, oh, thank you, it's okay.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to working with you on the next event or whatever. And by the time the rejection does come, I'm like, I wasn't expecting it, but at least I was ready with the response, as opposed to throwing my toys out the curtain. Thank you so much, Coach Jessie. DJ Easy Jones in studio, getting ready to take us home with a banger of an old school hit. When we come back to close off the pulse, stick around.